12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a
Yahoo!
Hey y'all, this is Ryan Monso. That's Brad Towns, and that's Martin Marroquin. He's new. Cougars win that 33-7, I think. But Rice scores right at the end. But that's the best you've seen the Cougars look all year. Brad, what are your thoughts?
I loved it. I feel weird talking about the defense, but I'm pretty excited about that.
Explain.
I'm not. The score is irrelevant. It's how they went about doing it. We've got a defense that's flying all over the field. They're arriving to the ball in bunches, and they're going fast and they're going hard. And that's the kind of defense that when we've played good defense, this is what it's looked like. A lot of guys all over the place.
Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, I have to echo many of those sentiments. I was in the building the last 3 seasons, and at the end there, in the old regime, things started to look disjointed on the defensive side, and it's just like they play as one unit this year. No disrespect to the coaches I work with, obviously. I want to keep good relationships with those guys, but it's just different this year. The guys, like I said, they're playing as one unit. When somebody catches the ball, everybody gets to the ball. It's like the coaches have put forward the message of go get the ball, essentially, because that's what everybody does. I mean, they're relentless in their pursuit.
Martin, will you tell everybody watching who you are, what you are, and your relationship to this program?
Sure. So last season, I worked as the assistant director of scouting under I don't know if I can say Dana Holgerson. I don't know if that's like bold.
You can actually say that.
We say it. Not a lot of good things behind it, but we say it.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, I started there as an intern 3 years ago, and then I was like in between. I was essentially what I did last year. I did the year before for free, and then they decided to pay me last year. But I helped with advanced scouting, recruiting players, scouting players that we were recruiting. So I was fairly familiar with Rice from last year, and I'm still, even though I'm not in the building anymore, I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the players, because even though we got let go, the previous staff, we helped recruit and scout a lot of the guys that are currently on the team.
Right.
Okay. Ryan booed me out of the stadium like I was the last head coach or something. That is accurate. I did boo him out of the stadium, and he deserved it. I don't come down here amongst the normal people too much, but I did today. And I did boo him out of the stadium. You showed a running game for the first time in what feels like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that was nice to see. Big burst plays. Maybe didn't sustain things as you'd like, but I mean, it's 33-0 for most of this. And so you have to feel good about where you are with that. Brad, if I asked you the one takeaway from this game, what do you have?
Explosive.
Okay.
From the defense, the defense did it all game, but the offense showed some big play capability, and I really liked the explosive plays from Snead and from Sanford. It's really what we need. I mean, you're going to have to, with the type of offense that we're going to run, you've got to be able to get some big chunks. And they did that. They did that really well.
Yeah, you had 10 plays where you combined for 283 yards. I mean, that's big, especially considering you had right around or maybe less than 400. I mean, that's a lot in big chunk plays.
Yep.
And you set that early with the Sanford run and then the Snead touchdown. my first thought, how I would summarize this game is it's still mistakes, and it's special teams mistakes. It's penalties. The box score shows only 5 penalties, but man, that does not feel right.
Right.
It felt like a dozen, and you've had 3 games, and that really hasn't gotten under control, and I think that's a problem. And I'm certain Willie Fitz feels the same way. Martin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, and they were timely penalties. I guess that's why they had the impact that it felt like double-digit penalties, but it's just when they happened, how much they mattered. It's consistency all around is kind of my takeaway from the game. I mean, the defense, I don't really have any complaints. Wish we could have kept that donut up there, so we could be talking about Shipley's. But they're giving guys a chance to play at the end of the game. But Diamond Smith, that's kind of like the word I would use to describe him is needing to maintain consistency to be the player that he is. And we were kind of taken aback a bit in the office when we saw that he was getting first round talk. No disrespect to him, I think he's a good player, but we watched Clayton Tune for a few years, and the guy was like a 4th or 5th round pick. And Diamond just hasn't shown that yet, not consistently.
Right.
Same thing with the offense. Big chunks. You said 280 yards on 10 plays. They gained 400. So then the other 40, 50 plays, you get 120 yards. I'm sure I'm overblowing how many plays it was, but if they could be consistent, they're going to need to put consistent drives together instead of those chunk plays when they get into conference play. Mekhi Muse has been, consistency is a big way to describe his production. He's very dynamic, very explosive. I'm confused on how he fields punts. I feel like it has to be coaching because of how consistently he does the same thing. Like they're asking him to, I guess, be conservative with allowing the ball to drop. But I did see that game where he was running up to get the fair catches to, secure the extra 10, 15 yards of field position. So if he can consistently even just field the ball at the point where it drops, I think that helps the team a lot too.
Yep.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of muff punts on, U of H's side and opponents this year. I don't know. There's been some wind, but I don't think it's that windy tonight. The way they catch it kind of up against the chest. And I don't know why the reason is. I agree with you. I think there's something happening there. But yeah, wow, look at that. $10. We need to figure out how this money thing works. Because at some point we're going to want to take that money. This would be the worst OnlyFans ever. We just couldn't figure out how to get the money.
That reason alone, yeah.
Right.
I would be afraid if anybody was giving us money on my OnlyFans.
Yeah, accurate. Why isn't Parker Jenkins getting many snaps? Brad, why is Parker Jenkins not getting snaps?
It's competitive.
Okay, that's Brad Towns.
You saw the production tonight. I don't think there's no favorites being played.
No.
Whoever's playing is the guy who's either doing well or it's the guy that they feel that can get the job done. I think the question is that, what's going on, not why, not a question of the coach of why he isn't getting more snaps. The question is why is the player not getting more snaps, more directed to the player? What's going on there? We know he's got the talent. We know that he's got the skill to do it. It's just got to translate. It's got to translate from the practice field to here.
Martin, what you see of Parker through 3 games, do you feel like he's running the same way y'all saw last year?
I had the same question as I was watching the game because, going into the season, you assume he's going to be the guy getting the carries. He's going to be the bell cow guy. And I asked some people around that are still in the building, and apparently he was dinged up. How dinged up, I don't know.
Right.
Last game, I know I did watching the game, it did seem like he took some hits and he was getting up a little slow. Of course, there's no confirmation there. I haven't talked to any coaches. I'm not going to pretend I know that much. But Yeah, I mean, Parker got one carry today that I can remember. And
Yeah, I think he had
Rayshon
two, but
okay.
yeah.
And, Rayshon, look, for rankings being what they are coming out of high school, when we were just as happy to get him as we were Parker. So I'm not shocked that he's the guy getting a lot of carries. I am shocked that Parker's not getting more work himself. Could be dealing with some nagging injuries. Maybe, as the game was flowing, they're like, okay, maybe we just give Parker some more rest today. I do expect him to get carries down the line if he's healthy. I'd be shocked if the guy wasn't getting on the field, especially with the lingering portal and all the stuff that may go into that. And, guy may be unhappy. Again, I'm not speaking for him. It's just this is the nature of the business at this point.
Yeah. I think there's an issue with this pass blocking. I think that matters to these guys. And they have loved Sanford in practice. He just has that burst through the hole that Parker just doesn't have right now. And, Stacey Sneed, excellent pass blocker. And he has a burst. He had a burst when on the touchdown run. He found another gear down the sideline. And that was really fun to see. I just haven't seen that from Parker. I feel like he kind of runs into the line, and that's kind of the end of it. And maybe it's dinged up. Maybe it could be 100 things. You don't know who's in his ear with NIL. With you're not happy there. Come and that just plays with people.
Well, and it's for all of our running backs, they're going to have to do something that's pretty difficult to do, and they're going to have to be able to run with their eyes, because this isn't an offensive line that's going to open up truck size holes for you to run through. It turns into just a wash up there, and you've got to be able to figure a way to get positive yardage as much as possible. If there's a little bit of a seam there, you've got to get through it, because it's not going to get any bigger. It's only going to get smaller. So it's being, you're going to have to you have to run with your eyes. You're going to have to be decisive as soon as you get the ball, and you're going to have to just jump as fast as you possibly can. There's no time to wait. We just don't have that luxury.
Yeah, and in fairness to Parker, I mean, this is the first time the guys have had any kind of real opportunities to run. Nothing against UNLV, Oklahoma, nothing. And, today is the first time these guys are getting any kind of seam. So, who knows what he could have done with some carries.
Yep.
Yeah.
He'll be there. I mean, that's the good thing. The league we're in now, depth is going to matter. And, everybody's going to get shots. Somebody's going to get dinged up. Or he's going to come in and it could be next week. All of a sudden he rips off, 5 here, 8 here, 15. And he'll be right back to the same player. From a mental standpoint, all it takes is one, and you get that confidence back, you get that rhythm back, you get that flow, and then all of a sudden things change. You saw it, you see it every year. Every year there's always a running back. You say, where the heck did that guy come from? And all of a sudden, I mean, just like Parker, he just exploded. It was slow to start. He didn't get a lot of carries at the beginning of the year, and all of a sudden, boom, he's gone. So I have no worries about him.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about him. You know what I am worried about? We have not mentioned Star Pizza. The good people at Star Pizza, God bless them. Get that chat off of there, that comment, so we can show their damn pizza. Star Pizza, Galen loves it. D'Anthony hanging on the wall. Brad went through this one.
Yep.
3 locations.
Delicious.
Katy, 59 in Shepherd, Harvard, and Washington. Lunch specials every day of the week, Monday to Friday. Buffet Tuesdays and Fridays. You got to try it. You got to get some. These people support your school. They support your athletes. They support your kickers. Your kickers did not have a bad night, by the way. Your holders kind of did. But your kickers were fine. Your holders.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Jack did kick one out of bounds there at the end. He was kind of flirting, trying to get it in that corner, and did a great job with it until the last one.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But Joseph Kim missed a PAT. He missed a field goal, but both on bad holds, maybe bad snap. But, you know, there have been a lot of problems on special teams this year, and it's been a little bit surprising. This I don't understand. Would like to see him get snaps at punt return. I mean, you did return one for a touchdown tonight. That was pretty good.
It'll buy you another shot.
It'll buy you a shot. He has great vision, and he's fast, and he's about that tall. But, I mean, he's a player, and I think that he's going to be the guy there for the rest of the year. So Manjack is the backup there. Third string, I believe they have had I'm blanking on the name now. Burnett has been third string at punt return. So
really?
That's 3 different looks on a punt return.
You put Burnett back there. I mean, he might just leave a bunch of bones laying on the field as soon as he takes off running. That dude does not mess around when he gets the ball.
It is
I
not.
mean, as soon as the ball is
and-
snapped, he is. I mean, you better get it out there quick because he's going to run right by it.
He had 8 carries tonight. They kept giving him the ball, and that's fun to see.
He runs mean.
I think this is his 3rd game played, so it doesn't look like they are figuring to redshirt him. If you just keep putting him out there, it's going to be, you know, he's got one more. Otherwise, that's it. Martin, who do you think, who you saw tonight from an individual standpoint, impressed you, surprised you, disappointed you, whatever you got?
So Hershey McLaurin is a player that I was really excited about when he hit the portal. I think there was like a week overlap with me having a job and then having the opportunity to push him up the ladder there. But obviously the coaches liked him. They brought him in. He's a member of the team. But we played against him last year at West Virginia when we did the advanced scouting. He's a long-range guy, versatile. And when he gets on the field, you know, he didn't start week 1. Juwan Gatson did. Hershey got to start, and since then he hasn't looked back. I mean, he's been really good. He's all over the field. And the guy we're about to talk to now is another guy that's been impressive. You know, in my few years there, I don't remember a linebacker as dynamic as Mike Batton has been, you know, in the short, you know, stint he's had with the Cougars. I mean, them up the middle along with Carlos Allen. I mean, they've been, you know, Chidozie Nwankwo moved on to Colorado. Good for him. But, you know, I wrote about them recently. You know, we went from a fire hydrant of a defensive tackle to another fire hydrant, Carlos Allen. You know, they do very similar things, and they do it really well.
Yep.
Michael Batton, can you hear us? Okay. We are doing good with that over the last couple weeks. Hopefully Mike can get in here. We're going to try something new tonight, have players with us. Mike is supposed to be our first guy, linebacker. He had a good night. Some people were asking, you know, did he kind of go away? I think they just were getting other guys in. You've got to develop that depth, and obviously you know what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah.
Well, there he went. So we'll see if he pops back. The internet is really goofy in the stadium right now. It was great all night. And then as soon as the game ended, they just went down.
Yeah.
So we'll try to get that back.
This is the first time in a long time you've actually been able to text me during the game.
Yeah, that's because you have that green phone, and sometimes it's hairy going from the blue to the green. Here we go. Here's Mike Batton. We can see him. He's got the face paint on.
Yes.
Mike, can you see us? Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear y'all. Y'all can hear me?
So
Yep.
You're with Brad and Martin Marroquin. Tell us about your night.
You know, kind of slow for me a little bit. They didn't really run my way, but, you know, I did my job in the pass game, and I was happy about that. So far this year, you know,
Is anyone hearing him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, UNLV was a heavy run team, and Oklahoma was a heavy RPO team, so I got to get some work in the pass game and lock up some receivers. And then, of course, I got the opportunity to get the ball back on punt, and I was very blessed and excited to, get the ball in my hands. As a defense guy, don't get many opportunities, so that's why it's good to be on special teams and make some plays that way.
I want to ask you about that punt.
Yeah,
You were not in the pile, but you still came out with the ball.
yeah. I can run you through it.
Okay, let's do it.
So, I'm running down. I'm honestly down there a little late. I got kind of caught up with some blocks. But my dad had told me because the week prior, they had muffed the punt too. And he was just like, not that you weren't, just make sure, you get down there. Even if you see a fair catch, be ready to get on the ball. And, obviously I took his advice very seriously. And I was just running down as fast as I can. I see it bounce, and the first person kind of missed it and kind of rolled to me. And I see this Rice guy reach out with one hand and kind of grab it. And I was like, nah, I'm going to get this. So I kind of jumped on late, and in there, I kind of worked my body in there and kind of just stole it from him. And I knew once I had it, I was like, ooh, once I get up, I'm going to put this ball in the air and get the crowd going. And, I got the opportunity to do that, and that was very cool.
It seems you're the type of guy that lives for the violence in the scrum.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's what gets me going. A good hit just early in the game. I love it. So I'm always looking for that very early in the game too, because once I get that hit, then it's really game on after that, and then it's just boom, 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 and yeah, I'm looking to knock someone in, and I'm a little upset I didn't get many opportunities on the defense side to do that this game, but they kept running the ball more towards the field, wide zones and stuff, was away from me, and those guys held it down over there. Hershey had a great game, playing that anchor side over there. He wasn't letting anything get by him. I mean, Jawan was balling too. He got, that BS targeting call. I think that was a little. I didn't really call, but I
don't know who liked that one.
Yeah, but those guys really held it down over there, and obviously the D-line did their thing too. And just overall, the defense is just showing up. And we're just going to keep building, and I'm looking forward to our 11 a.m. game against Cincinnati next week.
How do you describe this defense?
Man, they're definitely relentless, but I'm looking for a word. We're just on point. I want to say it's a bunch of smart guys that are just doing their 111 and doing it with ferocity. You know what I'm saying? And it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of. It really is, because I feel like I can just go in there and fly around. And, if I miss a tackle, cool. I know AJ's coming. He's about to blow them up. Same thing with, Cantrell back there. He's just coming in ready to blow it up. If the O-line gets on me early, then I know my D-line about to blow it up because, they just left a one-on-one with them. And, it's really such a beautiful thing, and it's really been great to be a part of, and I can't wait to keep building it with these guys and keep getting better week in and week out. And I think, as this year goes on, it's going to be a pretty scary sight for offenses to game plan against us.
All right, we're shutting down the other ones and heading your way.
Y'all have any questions for him?
Yeah, I got a question. One of the things that stands out to me the most about the defense this year, going even back in the UNLV game, is the fact that everybody's flying around the field and flying to the ball as a group. It's kind of a new thing we hadn't seen in a couple of years. How did that develop? Is it just meshing personalities? Everybody just clicks? How did that happen overnight?
It starts with Willie Fritz and his culture. It's all about the culture. That effort, that comes from the culture, and you got to have everyone buy into that, right? And that was their whole thing when we were practicing. I mean, it was kind of annoying. I've never gotten more than one loaf. Y'all know what a loaf is?
Yeah.
For the people that don't know, it's like you were being lazy this play. You weren't running to the ball. I've never gotten more than one loaf in a practice in my career. I came here, my first practice, I had 7 loaves. I was like, I swear I was running to the ball. But they really push that, that agenda of getting to the ball. I mean, you got to really, really run to the ball. And Coach Fritz wears a shirt during our practice that says "play through the whistle." So it's just a culture thing, and I think everyone's really bought in. And he's gotten the guys on the, he's recruited the right guys that have decided to buy into his philosophy, and it's translating to the field. And like I was telling someone earlier, it starts with doing your job. But then after that, like you're saying, you got to fly to the ball because you can't always expect Hershey to make a one-on-one tackle, right? Mm-hmm. So, or, whoever it may be. And then that's when everyone else comes in and cleans it up.
Yep.
I think y'all do a better job with the one-on-one tackles than any team that we've seen here in quite a while.
Long time.
Is that being stressed in practice? Is it competition between guys?
Certainly, it's – making a tackle is 90% how you approach it. We don't do much tackling to the ground. Sometimes I wish we did, but obviously it's been fine because we stress the approach to tackling and getting your foot in the hoop, near leg, near shoulder. And I think that's really translating. And then, of course, I think it just goes back to their recruiting. They recruited guys to come here that can tackle. And I think a lot of these guys that he brought in have been tackling very well.
I agree.
Yeah.
Martin, you got anything for him?
Yeah. Mike, I know you're a Houston kid. You get to come back home to play for the team. You grew up in the city. Does this rivalry mean anything to you other than finally playing in it for the first time? Like growing up, did this matter?
Yeah, of course. Houston and Rice. I mean, those are the two schools that you grow up near, and the rivalry is 50 plus years, 50 years this year, I think. And, they've had some good games. And honestly, personally, it meant something to me too, because before I even hit the portal, I actually wanted to go to Rice. I was thinking about school and things like that. And I had the Luke McCaffrey connection. I spent some time in Colorado and we played against each other. We were the same age. And so I hit him up and he said he'd send my film, and I never got a call, and I thought that was kind of funny because if Luke McCaffrey, can't get you on the team, then they must not think you're pretty good. So it was cool to, get the opportunity to come here and then really put it on them in this game.
But it worked out, right?
Yeah, no, thank God. Thank God I didn't go there. I mean, the education was great, but we got great education over here, and yeah, that would have been bad. I mean, it don't matter how good I am at linebacker. The outcome probably would have been the same if I was over there, So
awesome.
Very, very blessed to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. We appreciate you joining us, and good luck next week.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
All right, guys.
Have a good one.
That wasn't bad. Michael Batton.
It's good to. I love seeing guys kind of just come out of nowhere, and then after we had a chance to hear his story and where he's been and what he's just all over the place. It's cool to see that he's found a home and he's finally able to show what he's always believed he has been, and it's cool. It's really cool to see.
Well, he was a quarterback in high school and then went to Louisiana to be a quarterback. And after a little stint at Blinn College, he went to a junior college, Nassau in Long Island, to play quarterback. And he thought he was going to play it, I believe, at Louisiana Monroe. And finally, they convinced him to be a linebacker. And it turns out he's pretty good at that, too. And his first year there, he didn't start for most of the season, and because of an injury, he got in the last few games and really cleaned up, and then had a year of massive tackles last year. And who knows if you get noticed coming out of Louisiana Monroe, but somebody did the homework. A Martin type character said, "Yeah, this guy can play football." And in the preseason, before we had seen any practices, Jamal Morris told me, I asked him, who's under the radar? Who's the next guy? And he says, Mike Batton. And I was like, he's a white guy. There's no way. And Jamal was like, he's super fast. he's smart on the field, and he goes and gets the ball. And sure enough, Jamal knew exactly what he was talking about, because that guy is a massive part of what you're seeing on defense.
Mm-hmm. Starting to remind me of the days back in what was it?
Easy.
No, like around
Easy.
in the Sumlin era, and then kind of transferring over. We had guys that are at linebacker that were maybe a little bit undersized, but could fly and could get all over the place. And they were good sideline to sideline. They were good head up. It's starting to look like that. And I'm not saying that just because tonight. I'm talking about the way
in
matched
3
up
weeks
against OU.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they've obviously been the strength of what you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Martin, when y'all start looking into the portal, are you looking at guys before they get in the portal, like starting to like maybe he'll be in and let's look at him, or are you waiting until okay?
Yeah, pre-portaling, if you will.
Okay.
Now we're not like reaching out to a guy like, "Hey, are you going to hit
right?"
the portal?
Of course not.
That happens. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. But yeah, absolutely. You know, we're kind of maybe even the beginning of the season, halfway through the season, you're getting a, hey, everybody in college football, the D1 level that's from Houston, find out how they're doing. You know, looking at them. You know, when we do advanced scouting, for example, Hershey McLaurin, he was a guy in the back of my head. If this dude hits the portal, I'm not even going to watch his film. I'm going to go tell the coaches we need to pursue him. So yeah, all the good programs are doing this. You know, whatever expendable people they have, you know, their interns that they're not paying, you know, they're like, here's a list of guys I need you to look into. Tell me who checks out. Of course, them themselves, they're doing that as well. But absolutely, yeah, you're not waiting for a guy to hit. You're too late at that point.
Right. Well, I would think that with any since you're doing if you're doing advanced work and scouting for game prep, you might as well jot those names down and put them in the database and just say, this is the guy that jumped out on tape. If he hits, we got to go.
Yeah. I mean, now that I don't have a job, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Look at guys that are like at the D2 JUCO levels that can, you know, we call it transferring up to whatever it is now, P4, you know, whatever,
Right.
however many conferences there are now. But guys we think can make the jump to the higher level of football, and eventually, you know, maybe like a Sunday guy that are on these levels that you're not seeing. So like that's what I'm trying to do myself, you know, personally is, you know, introduce those guys weekly, or the guys that, like Carlos Allen on the Cougs, for example, who's made that jump and, you know, seamlessly making the transition.
He had
What are you doing to find these guys? Are you watching a ton of film? Is it kind of a huddle thing?
So, you know, PFF, you know, for all the crap that they get for how they grade guys, I mean, it's a pretty, you know, a good grade generally is going to mean a good player.
It's a good place to start, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'll look at, you know, just individual grades of a player, and, you know, I'll give myself a couple of plays of like, what does this guy look like? I'm like, okay, you know, he's all right. But that's really the starting point. For like your junior college guys, you know, I mean, it's pretty simple. You just look at like league leaders, stats wise, and then you watch their huddle, and you know, you go from there. And then there's guys, you do what you call recruit to transfer. So like, you know, maybe there's a guy you're not going to get out of high school because he's a 4-star, but he's like a middling 4-star, if that's a thing.
Right.
And so you keep him on a list for, he didn't get any playing time. Is he unhappy? When he gets to the portal, we were number 2 on his list. For example, he transferred this past season, but like Lucas Coley when he went to Arkansas.
Right.
Of course, the staff was prepared for if Lucas decides to transfer. We already have a relationship. Of course, we're going to reach out. So, you know, there's that situation as well.
Okay. Here's a question for you, Martin. How did you get into scouting?
Yeah. So thankfully, my wife pushed me into it. You know, I was in the military for 9 years in nuclear power field in the Navy, worked on a sub. So obviously football was a seamless transition getting out of there. But, you know, I'd always been a fan of sports. I played basketball growing up. I grew up in Houston. Obviously football mattered because I grew up in Texas. It's essentially religion. But it truly started, you know, aside from me thinking I could do it because I recruited on video games. You know, the last Bill O'Brien year, I think, when they lost to the Saints because they played Aaron Colvin off the line, I was so mad that I was like, people need to know how I feel. And so I started writing for Toro Times. And so that kind of pushed me into like, I think I might be able to do this. And my wife was like, yeah, why would you do nuclear power? You don't want to do it. So when I got out of the military and started, you know, my degree, U of H, thankfully for the GI Bill. Thanks for paying your taxes, guys. So I volunteered with the team right after COVID hit. You know, Casey Smithson, who's still there, asked me if I wanted to volunteer. And so, yeah, I did it for a year, which is kind of funny because it's the best year that I was there, you know, results-wise for the team. But I don't really remember it because I was running around on game days, you know, getting recruits around and stuff. But then the next year I earned a desk rather than like traveling around having to, you know, do what work they gave me. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I didn't get lucky. You know, I worked hard, obviously, but my situation was different. I wasn't a 19-year-old kid, college-age kid. I was, you know, I had a mortgage, was married, so it was a little different. Thankfully, I had the GI Bill put money in my pocket, so I could do it without, you know, having a job. But yeah, I mean, that's really how it happened. I just took a chance that it would turn into a job.
When you were on game day and dealing with recruits, what is your job there? What are you doing to get in favor with those guys?
Sure. Specifically, I guess I'll talk in the tiers until, you know, you guys tell me to shut up. But, you know, specifically as an intern, you're kind of driving golf carts, you know, from where they park to the indoor facility is where they have like the pregame stuff to, you know, they get to play Madden on the big screen, or, you know, they've got other games on, you know, showing them a good time. They get a chance to mingle with coaches, you know, other recruits. And so you're really just like trying to be a person with them at that point. You know, I mean, there's not really a better way to put it. You just want to talk to them. These guys get footballed at, you know, their entire life. And people telling them how great they are at football. So at least for me, I always felt like I was out of touch because these kids, you know, some of them were half my age. So I would just try to talk to their parents, you know, and get it, you know, good with their parents and to know the kids that way. And, you know, we've got a gang of interns, you know, who are the same age as the kids that, you know, get to have fun with the kids. And then, yeah, you're talking to them week to week, you know, good luck with this game. But eventually, you know, that gets old too. Everybody's telling them good luck with football. So, you know, you just want to know how's school going. You know, what do you really want to do when you come to school here? Of course, you're not coming here to play school. Let's be real. But what do you want to do when you're done? Do you have a plan for that? And, you know, like relationships matter. I mean, everybody's going to tell you that, but it truly does.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the fan experience matters. They want to see people happy to be at the game. And I want to say this because you guys have a platform, but stupid fans who get drunk and think they can say what they want because they're upset with, you know, how Dana's performing as a coach. Marcos Davila is a 4-star quarterback that we had on visit. Who's at Purdue now. Guys that were here in the past, Raj Marti, TJ Randall, and Mike Jinks was, you know, his area coach. They did a great job. We had a good opportunity to get that kid here. And some stupid drunk guy said, don't come play here because Dana sucks. And the kid let that go. Were we going to beat Purdue in the end? I don't know, but the kid told us, hey, that got to me. So fans, if you want to complain about how things are going on the field, telling good players not to play here is not going to help.
It's kind of the opposite of recruiting.
I mean, like, yeah, doesn't make the job any easier.
I love the line, people need to know how I feel. And that's how you got into it. Is people need to know how I feel. That's kind of how we got into it too, I guess.
I've never been delusional enough to think that my opinion mattered.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I was really impressed with Stephon Johnson taking a mediocre to bad tunnel screen pass and going 55 or 60 yards with it. He really made something out of nothing there. They tried that tunnel screen pass 4 or 5 times, and that was, I think, the only time that it really, really worked. Willie did throw that in his first ever play as a head coach here 2 games ago, UNLV, which is the exact same thing Dana did at OU in 2019 in his first play. So hopefully that's just something that we get to see every new coach, that they just throw that tunnel screen.
I think it's
it's
in the contract.
It might be.
Unwritten rule.
Yeah.
And you talk about that play. It leads me to, we've been talking about since the season started that we're looking for improvement. We're looking for the small increments of getting better every week. On that play in particular, Shamar Habdi-Lee
Got
made
down the field.
a key block downfield. Now, the reason why I want to signal or bring that up before we talk about Manjak's block on the long touchdown
On the Stacey
is
Sneed,
that we don't see many offensive linemen making that kind of move downfield. And
Nope.
I get excited about that because I love to see agile, mobile offensive linemen. Because that works well for us and it fits kind of right in our wheelhouse from a recruiting perspective.
Yeah.
Is we can get guys. Usually turns out that the guys that you're going to get that can move are going to be a little bit smaller. They're not going to be on the radar of the big schools because they have the luxury to go out and get guys that are 6'6", 325 pounds who can move like that. Those are the first round offensive line picks. But you can get a guy that's, 6'5", 270, 280 that's overlooked just because he might be lean. He doesn't have that big round body that a lot of guys have. And it's good to see that kind of movement from our offensive line and with the ability and the willingness to get downfield and make that block, because that's the difference between a 6 and 7 yard run and a touchdown going for 40, 50 yards.
And going back to the Manjak block, which was great and like a 15-yard block, I have this belief that every time a receiver makes a good block, you ought to throw one to him. Like it's a trade. Like you
Right.
give me one, I give you one. And
No block,
Manjak,
no block.
you would give, you'd have to throw it to Manjak 20 times a game because the guy just freaking blocks. The game, the team means so much more to him than the individual stuff. I did not remember a throw to him till about the third quarter. And it turns out he had one before that. But the guy is in on everything and always trying to make something happen for his teammates.
And it looks like guys around him are kind of falling in line.
Yeah.
We're starting to see it. You just see it coming together slowly and surely. And it's not, I just got to preface it, it's not because of the success against Rice. It's the improvement. It's not about the winning. It's about how you go about it. Even in the UNLV loss, I'm not worried about the loss. I was worried about how we played, the process of what was going on during the game, the actions in the game. Same thing with OU. I was excited because that looked like a completely different team. They were in 100%.
And you have to worry sometimes that it's just going to be kind of a one-off. You caught a team. Every college football team has that 1 week where it just doesn't make any sense, right?
Yep.
And you thought maybe you just caught OU in that 1 week. And so maybe it was an improvement. Maybe it's just you got lucky. But I think you continue to see the defense get better and better. And the offense made some strides today. I certainly there's still plenty that are issues. But I think you saw some good things out of them. I want to talk about one thing the defense did at least twice and maybe 3 times on third down. It was 3rd and long, and they brought 7 guys 10 yards back. and waited for Rice to throw underneath, and then they just swarmed in on a guy and destroyed him. And Rice was 0 of 10 on third down until they made one in that last drive.
Right.
But that was my favorite play of the game, and I saw it twice and maybe 3 times, but at least twice. Somebody's attacking.
They found you.
Yep. I didn't know Dateline had helicopters, but there we are.
Yeah, to your point, I that stood out to me because I have PTSD from the 4th and 20 against Tech a few years ago.
Really?
Donovan for that. But it's just like I said, it's different this year with this team. The way that they play, they're a unit. It's like they're all tied with a string, and one of them moves, and like another one acts, in the correct way. But you have the confidence when they do that. Yeah, they can sack off 10 yards because as soon as the guy catches the ball, 3 of them are going to be there. And if for some reason none of them make the tackle, another guy's going to come and finish it. So, yeah, I mean, it stands out that they can play, I guess, conservative in that situation because you know that they're going to come down and make the tackle.
Right. I'm just happy we're not seeing guys get turned into a helicopter going in for tackles, just getting spun.
Yeah.
There is less of that.
Yeah, for sure. I have a gripe with the offense. I don't know if I don't want to derail things here.
Please.
So the Kill Shorts has moved on to Kentucky. But while he was here, I'd argue he was the best recruiter in the entire country. He was getting guys to come play here that we had no business getting. He had several 4-star recruits last year. Boogie Johnson, Manjack coming back to play here.
Jonah Wilson.
Yeah, Jonah Wilson, guy who snubbed Texas to come play for us. He got 1 target today that I can remember. He made a great, adjustment to it. He just couldn't finish the catch. Yeah. But it's kind of like a rhythm thing. Like guys he's blocking for you, and I get that they want to run the ball more, but I feel like you're wasting opportunities with the skill players you have on the outside, not giving them opportunities to do something in the pass game. And I'm watching the same games as you guys are. The offensive line's got to do their job to allow them. But Boogie's the kind of guy that can take a negative air yard play for a 40-yard touchdown. Manjack can catch the ball and then go for 10, 15 yards after because he runs like a running back. And Jonah Wilson is a special player that we haven't really had the opportunity to see. Even last year, he had that big catch against Oklahoma State. We should have attacked that more in the air, but I'm not a coach. That was just my thought. Anyway, Jonah Wilson's a very good player. Manjack's a good player. Boogie Johnson, they have offensive weapons on the outside that I don't think are getting taken advantage of. I get that it's only 3 games, and I was looking at some of the statistics today, like against UNLV, 106% of Donovan's passing yards came after the catch. Like he was like -5 throwing the ball of actual air yards. So I know that it's like a mash group up front with the offensive line, and these guys are going to figure it out. And you're seeing stripes; they're getting better. Donovan threw for 3 bills last week against OU, and the offense almost ran for that much this week. So it's like there's going to be a balance that they're going to figure out. But I just wish these guys would get opportunities because you had guys that stayed when they could have left. And maybe that doesn't mean anything to people because of what they still view college football as, but it means a lot. Manjack wasn't going to leave. He wanted to come back to Houston from USC. Boogie Johnson came here with the opportunity to get balls and score touchdowns. And Jonah Wilson, like I said, I think that guy's a Sunday player if he just gets the chance to show it on tape.
Right.
Yeah. And Jonah, he needs long balls, and he's really good on the long ball. And it will be curious to see if they find some situations, and it might have to be trick plays, like to even open that up. But I really think he's gonna come on. He is one of the happiest people I see day in and day out around this team, and that really tells me something because it's not like he's happy because of all the opportunities he's getting on the field. It's just who he is. And I appreciate that quite a bit. I did not hear this because I wasn't watching the broadcast. They pointed out the Habdi Lee play was because the guy in front of him, Jake Wiley, was out due to his 15-yard penalty. Jake was out. He did get a dressing down from Fritz on the sideline, and they did pull him for quite a while. at least one series, maybe two. So that is certainly a valid point. Who else
Well,
had
and,
the,
you
the
know,
penalty that I'm blanking on that had the 15-yarder? It was Wiley, and then
They said Johnson on the broadcast, but I didn't remember Boogie getting a.
no, he did. That's who it was. It was
Okay.
Stephon Johnson. He got a 15-yarder, and then Willie took him down to the end of the bench and read him the riot act. But he gets over it pretty fast.
Yeah.
Willie does, and Dana not as much. Always did that.
well, I think it's good to see that mistakes are going to happen. Players are going to do stupid stuff. It's just a part of it. It's good to see that it's addressed immediately and intensely, and it's after that, it's over. No hard feelings. Let's get back at it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, it's great to see players stepping in and responding and making plays while somebody else is out, because that's going to be the key for our depth over time. More and more guys competing for a shot, and when they get their shot, they do something with it. Because that's all you can ask for is an opportunity. And once that happens, you gotta make something happen.
Yeah. You see that right there? That's Star Pizza. Star Pizza, 3 locations, lunch specials, great people. Had you had it this week, Brad?
Not this week.
So not since Sunday night when we did.
Yeah, man, I was full for 2 days after that.
I don't believe that at all.
It was
at all.
That pizza was only about that big.
Yeah,
about that big. But man, that thing weighed about 7 pounds.
Okay.
It was a powerhouse.
So they're working on brownies. I told them, you're the guy, quality control. You go in, you help them figure out if brownies are the right thing for their organization. I'm working on it. I'm trying to hook you up.
But they already got brownies.
Well, they're working on something new. I don't know.
Their brownies are pretty damn good.
I've not had them.
I've had all the desserts, so whatever.
Really, that's shocking.
Yeah, I know it's surprising.
I am taken aback. I really like Mike Batton. That's my 4th or 5th time to talk to him, and he grows on me every time. And I really feel like this is his last shot. This is last year, but he is developing into a leader on this team, and is certainly not somebody going into fall ball that I expected a lot from.
Right.
But now I really have quite a bit on him. Jalen Garner had a game tonight. He had 2 solo tackles, the interception, and he also had a quarterback hurry. And Jalen really did not see the field a lot in the first 2 weeks. But I'm excited for him because I think he's a good guy. And then Jalen Emery, late in the game, had a couple of nice plays. And I think Zacchaeus Strong is the one that tipped that pass for the interception. Yeah. That was an athletic play.
Yeah, it was good to see Zai on the field. I watched him for 2 years in the program, and I mean, he's what you want him to look like. He just, had some issues with getting on the field his first year, and then last year.
Why?
Recently, but I think he had some grades year 1.
Okay.
There's situations where you're told that a kid coming out of junior college is gonna make the grades or he's gonna be good with clearinghouse, and then he gets here and they're like, oh wait, we missed a thing, and then it's no fault to the kid. A lot of times it's just
right.
They weren't transferred properly, and so thankfully last year he was able to play. But walking around the facility, he's going to stand out physically. When scouts would come the year before, I always say, like, in a couple of years, you're probably going to be looking at this kid. It's not to say he's been a disappointment or anything. It's just this is how things go for these kids. But he's super athletic, super long. So yeah, it was nice to see that he got a chance to get on the field and made a play. I just wish Pup would have scored.
Another guy that's super long and that made some plays tonight is Malik Carr. He is a freaking man-child. He is one of the biggest people I've ever met, the biggest hands I've ever seen. And they line him up in the slot or they line him up at tight end and he goes out. I mean, I love everything this guy does. We had a comment about disappointed with Jaden York. Jaden is out there making plays. They threw to him at least on the 2-point conversion, I believe, and it just wasn't a good throw. Donovan just kind of was going backwards and short through the line. But Jaden York is doing a lot of stuff in the blocking game. He's active, and he's in there for a lot of snaps. So I wouldn't worry about him. Malik Carr is a pass-catching dude. I mean, he has the hands, and he is going to make catches. And so when you need – what are you laughing at?
Just the visual I see. It's like watching me if I was playing against
Little leaguers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's just a giant. He is a monster of a human being.
Yeah. But a delight. And I don't say that about many people. Okay. So let's wrap it up and kind of get final thoughts and then get out of here because I'm old and it's 11:30. Brad?
Good win. You did exactly what you needed to do. You beat them the way that we should beat them. It keeps improving week by week. Exactly what we hope to see. I don't expect results to be like this all the time, but you can't count on the points. You can't count on the score. But what you can count on is the style of play, the intensity of the play, and seeing them improve week by week. I would like to see them improve a little bit on the costly penalties, the ones that bring back really good production. That's going to help out quite a bit. But overall, you're starting to see it. You're starting to see it starting to move forward. Once the rock gets moving, it's a lot easier to push. And, they're starting to get it rolling a little bit.
Martin.
Yeah. Kind of same sentiments. They're heading in the right direction. I think, it's a little weird for me to say because I was with the previous regime, but I imagine that fans come away from these games with a better taste in their mouth.
The last two.
Yeah. UNLV game sucked. I think you just that's a wash. There's really nothing to take out of that other than we never need to look like this again. I think you can't really watch that tape and glean anything positive. Unless it's just, this is what we don't do. But, it's just little things like how Fritz handles a guy being hurt or how Fritz handles, a guy messing up. I guess it's just more presentable, it's more palatable, it's what you want to see from a guy who's in charge of 18 to 22-year-olds. Well, with how things are now, some of them are like 27, but that's besides the point. You feel like when there's something that goes wrong, that it's addressed and you feel like it's going to get corrected. And you see that on the field. For example, Jake Wiley comes out, Shamar Hobbs-Lee comes in and carries a guy into the end zone so that Boogie can score that touchdown. Mekhi Muse seemed to figure out the punt returning situation.
Yep.
I don't think he fumbled last week, but let's say that he did. He's heading in the right direction. He scored today. He was minimizing the ball hitting the ground towards the end of the game. The offensive line is figuring it out. The defense, I don't really have any complaints, honestly. Carlos Allen, I thought that was a bogus call on the roughing the passer. He didn't drive kid. He didn't really finish a tackle. He's just 150 pounds heavier than him. So he bounced off. Just consistency, figuring out how to help the O-line best do what they're going to do well so that you can get the ball in the hands of your skill players. And then, special teams, get those guys in the triad of the holder, snapper and kicker to be all on the same page. Because I really think Joseph Kim just got, he's just victim of some bad snaps or holds. Tonight. But yeah, I mean, there's consistency. If they can iron out some of those things, I don't see any reason why this team can't, go bowling.
I'm not ready to say that yet, but we have talked since the preseason of September 1st, October 1st, do you look better? November 1st, do you look better? December 1st, do you look better? And they're getting, this has been 3 weeks. You've got 2 more games until October 1st. But I think next week is a real interesting possibility. Mm-hmm. You've got a Cincinnati team that is kind of dragging. They have struggled in some games lately. You've got an 11 a.m. start. You're either going to take advantage of 11 a.m. or get taken advantage of at 11 a.m.
Right.
There is no consistency playing that early in the day for schools that just don't do it, for schools outside of the Big Ten.
Well, we get an advantage there because our guys practice early.
Yes, they do. I don't know what Cincinnati's practice schedule is. But I really think there's if you go and win a road game early in the season, when you had a chance last week in Norman, if you go win one, well, that changes the whole dynamic. It's like when Tom Herman in his second week, he went and won at Louisville.
Yep.
And you didn't know what Louisville was going to end up being, and they ended up being 6-7 or 7-6. But it turns out that win on the road propelled that team and gave them the confidence that they needed to go and do some bigger things. Mm-hmm. And, if this team comes out flat next week, then who the fuck knows? But they do have that opportunity to go do that. Martin just talked about Joseph Kim. I went down on the field when the kickers came out so I could watch him kick. And I saw him kick, I think, 32 balls, and he missed one. And it was from the right hash from 55 yards. So, and he's doing that with the tee, I don't even know what you call the instrument, but it tees it up for you, not the tee from the bottom.
Yeah.
But so he's not dealing with bad snaps or whatever. And the timing is all his. But he kicked the ball great, and he got hosed a little bit with the holds. Maybe a low snap. Mm-hmm. I want to go look at that again. But I feel really confident in him. And he needs to get his shit together because we did a story and an interview with him this week. And if I am held responsible for that, I'm not going to feel comfortable at all.
Well, it's going to come. It's going to come as part of his development. One thing, he comes in, he has the ability to kick straight and kick long. So as you get more experience, you're not going to panic when you see the ball not perfect or not held perfect. It's just it takes more game reps under the bright lights.
Right. And that's the one thing that we're seeing with this program is that those guys are getting reps with the whole unit. Like a lot of times kickers are just kicking with themselves and don't get a lot of opportunities with that whole unit. So different things can break down. And Joseph Kim just has not had a ton of that. And he faced some adversity today, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that, especially in a game like this. Mm-hmm. But he has a good leg. I think Jack Martin's is a little bigger. I think Joseph can be more consistent. And, Joseph has put on some weight, and he told me that his leg has gotten stronger. I think he's your kicker into the future. Jack is like 40. So, he's already trying to sell me. He's trying to sell me financial products. So I know that, maybe his time is about to end. But yeah, so a lot of positives today. You feel like you're moving in the right direction. Second week was okay. It was better. Third week was better. Let's go on the road and see what you see from a team, from a program. And this is a long road trip. So your travel plans are earlier on Friday than you're normally traveling because you have the early game. You're going to travel earlier on Friday. And it's probably the longest flight 30 of these guys have ever made. So we'll see. And you never know how that all plays out. It sounds dumb, but it's
Where are they
legit.
flying to?
They fly to Northern Kentucky, which is the Cincinnati airport. And then you drive across the river.
Okay.
I'm glad I could tell you that.
It just seems weird thinking that's a long flight. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, if you're the freshmen, maybe have never gone that far.
Oh yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. It's just,
Yeah.
just you know.
Yeah.
There will be longer, but
relative to the rest of the games they're going to play in conference and stuff, it is probably the furthest game out. Something that's going to be big against Cincinnati. They have a defensive tackle who is a dude. I think it's Deontay Corleone. I know it's Corleone's last name because it's
Dante Corleone. Yeah.
He came back from some health issues.
He had a weird health situation during the summer.
Blood clots.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And he was a problem last year with what the O-line is. They're figuring it out, but that if he's in game shape and he's ready to go, he's going to be a problem. So that's going to be a great test for how this offensive line is truly progressing.
Yep.
For sure. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. We're going to be back tomorrow night with talking about them Cougars. We think we might have a big guest for you. And we might not. It might just be Brad eating pizza. So,
well, technically a big guest.
Big guest. Big.
Like a rounder Malik Carr. A lot rounder.
Yeah, much more rounder. You look like
I take up a little bit of space, okay? Come on.
You do. All right. Go Cougs all week. Thank you, Martin, for sharing your expertise. We really appreciate it. It was very good. Thank you to Michael Batton. Just coming on. Got his face paint on. Hadn't even showered. I love that.
He's a natural, dude. He was built for this.
I have seen him develop. He's going to be doing something like this in the future when football ends for him, if he wants. So appreciate him. Appreciate all of you for watching. Star Pizza. Go to the YouTube page. Subscribe. Check out GoCougs.com. We've got a lot coming up. Thank y'all so much and good night.